And we're joined by Laura Bentley, the Community Services Supervisor for the City of Kelowna. This is a public meeting tonight on short-term rentals. Give us an idea exactly what is being proposed here, what's on the table.
Yeah, so we are proposing land use regulations for short-term rentals. So that's Airbnb or VRBO type accommodations. And those previously haven't been allowed in residential zones. So we're proposing allowing them in residential zones under certain restrictions.
Well, they've happened though, haven't they? So it's all been kind of an underground market. So in a way, you're opening it up for legal Airbnb style rentals.
For sure. So it is an opportunity for people that are looking to do it in a way that complies with the regulations, to have that opportunity to do an Airbnb or VRBO, that type of rental. But certainly there's others in the city that we know have been operating not in compliance with the bylaws, so we'll be working with people to bring them into compliance as much as we can.
Right, so if somebody wants to rent out their home in that manner, I take it they'll have to license for it and pay a fee that some people might see as a bit of a disincentive, something in the $300 to $400 range?
Yeah, so a business license would be part of operating a short-term rental. The fees are set to support cost recovery. So to support compliance and monitoring and our licensing costs associated with short-term rentals. It's not intended to be a deterrent, but just so that it's not on taxpayers essentially to support the short-term rental licensing.
Now, I understand there are exceptions to it, but for the most part, people will only be able to rent out in this manner the main living area of their home. It can't be a separate carriage house or a converted garage.
That's right, yeah. So it would be in what we're calling an operator's principal residence, so in the main part of the house that they live in.
I think a lot of the favorite places for Airbnb rentals are those carriage homes that are kept strictly for that purpose. They're always pristine, rather than the main living area that the kids packed up their stuff yesterday. So I think some people are disappointed that those sorts of opportunities for short-term rentals won't be there.
Yeah, that's certainly something that we've heard, and one of the challenges that we've faced in developing the regulations. Those types of units are also one of our more common units or unit types for long-term renters. And so we have residents, looking to be able to rent and live in the city. And basement suites and carriage houses were really introduced as a way of increasing opportunities for renters to find places to live and for homeowners and landlords to provide that opportunity. They weren't really intended for a short-term rental use. So that's why we're focusing it on the main house.
And I understand one of the background reasons for all this is that short-term rentals, if they're not curtailed or regulated, start to erode the stock of available long-term rentals in a community. Is that a real issue?
Yeah, that's something that we've seen here and other communities have faced as well. So a lot of places have really moved to the model of allowing short-term rentals only in the operator's principal residence. And we've seen that in cities across BC and elsewhere as well.
What is the vacancy rate situation right now? Has it not improved a little bit already? So if that's the case and it's on the upswing in terms of available rentals, why do we need to be restrictive in this way?
Yeah, it did improve. As of last fall, CMHC was reporting that our vacancy rate is now at 1.9%. So our target vacancy rate for a healthy vacancy rate would be 3 to 5%, and we haven't seen that in about 7 years. So there's been an investment in purpose-built rentals, which is great, and we want to see that continue. So that's something that we'll monitor, and we've indicated that we could obviously be monitoring that going forward, and we'd be reporting back to council on those numbers.
Plus, I think the popularity of these short-term rentals is increasing, and the projection would be that would in the future put more of a strain on the long-term rental pool?
Exactly, yeah. We've seen pressure on the long-term rental market in suites and carriage houses and even homes that are being rented out strictly on a short-term basis. And much of the goal of developing regulations for short-term rentals came out of our healthy housing strategy in identifying the need to protect for long-term rentals and making sure that we have space available for people to live who are looking for places to live in the city.
So I'm sure you've already heard some of the pushback. I don't think that the Airbnb people themselves like it much. Nobody likes to pay fees. Do you expect a fair amount of pushback to be expressed at the public hearing tonight?
Yeah, we've received quite a bit of correspondence. some in opposition on both sides. So some saying it's too restrictive, some saying it's too permissive, and then letters of support as well. So we'll present the proposed regulations, and certainly the public has their chance to share their opinions with council tonight.
Has it been fully fine-tuned, the actual numerical value of that licensing fee? Has that been pinned down at this point?
At this point, what we're proposing is the $345 for an operator's principal residence, and that's based on what we expect that we need for cost recovery for licensing and bylaw officers, and then hiring a third-party company to support our monitoring and compliance. We will review that sort of as this gets implemented, and if adjustments need to be made, then we can make those. If we're finding that it's more than we needed, then we can make those adjustments.
Right. All right. Laura Bentley, City of Kelowna, thanks very much for helping us out with this, and thank you for watching Kelowna Now.